Hey, happy Wednesday. Welcome to episode 4 of How I Made This. Today we're going to do hip hop instrumental beats with piano. I love to play piano. Anybody who knows and follows me, I love piano. Speaking of people who follow and comment, I just want to give some shout outs to people who recently have commented and boosted my engagement, as well as the people that have been following me since I came back. I had a really rough year. Like for those of you joining today, I had a terribly rough year. Death of my parent, and I'm good. All right, so today's episode we are going to focus a little bit less on the like just putting the beat together, but more about the sound design. And this was actually sparked from a comment where I had posted just like a beginner beat. I was just messing around, and in my head I can hear what it's going to be. Like I just can. I've been doing this as a hobby for a while. And the comment was, you got to get some better sounds than those stock FL Studio sounds. And it made me laugh, and I was humbled immediately. I'm like, yeah, it does sound kind of amateurish. The comment made me realize that in today's episode, what I should do is when I break down this beat, I should actually show you guys the raw sound recorded, and then the raw sound file produced and mixed, like with reverbs and different automations and stuff, because you can actually design and completely change the sound. Like just because I record the grand piano into the studio and it sounds like a beautiful grand piano, it still doesn't sound polished right away, of course. So let's get right into it. All right, so specifically today we're going to focus on the shaping of the sounds of melodies. So like if I open this up real quick, I'm just going to show you. I'll just pop this guy open. Whoops, not that one. So this is Spitfire BBC Symphony Orchestra, right? And I have violins on this track. Now you'll notice, like, these are long notes, and then other ones are, I think they're spiccato. I think spiccato or pizzicato. Those are just shorter notes. And that's up here in this next run of violin. But so this is all bass sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just record 4 to 6 bars of each sound as they are in this production. And then I'm going to record those exact same 4 sounds, but in the mix, you'll hear the difference immediately. Oh, I almost forgot. Since we're doing shout outs, I'd like to do a shout out to Apple, if you're listening, okay? When I do these videos, and like maybe somebody has a workaround for this, but I've tried all the ones on the internet, and like I am really having an issue recording audio on screen record from Logic Pro. Like that's apparently a known thing. So when I do these videos, I actually have to bounce wave files of everything I'm doing and then edit that in later. Do you know how much time that is? So when I upgrade my studio, I'm just letting you know, Apple, like unless you can work with me. I phoned tech support and even they couldn't help me through this. So I'm not bitching, but I am. When it's time to upgrade my studio, like that might actually make a huge impact on the software I use and the type of computer I buy. Because I'm about time. My time is money. So, shout out to Apple. Huge known problem to fix. Anyways, jumping back into... Okay, so on point. Let's give a listen to the raw recorded piano and the bass Spitfire violins. Versus the wave recording of that intro, but mixed with the proper effects on those very same instruments. Listen again. Probably noticed that the second ones sounded a lot more rich and a lot more full. Couple reasons behind that. So here we are on the mix screen, and I'm just gonna hit play first, and we'll hear all the instruments together. Now we're watching the EQ, and you'll notice, okay, so right here I pause it. Okay, so this is the piano, and you'll notice I've really cut that into only the octave frequencies required. And like on piano hits, it sends a lot of stuff down to the left, to the low baseline frequencies, that all that's going to do is interfere with other things. And you might not even like hear it, but it does. It makes a huge difference. And then over here, you notice this is the violins, and they kind of cut off in the middle of the piano, and that's because I took the violins one octave higher, and that's all about your sound design as well, right? Picking you, I don't want to put my violins in the exact same frequency range as my piano because they will just fight each other. So moving the violins an octave higher allows them to just, it sits a lot better in the mix. That's very important. Number two, why does it sound better? Okay, so we were listening to melodies 2 and 3. And you'll notice right here I have sends to bus 5 and bus 6. Now in this case, bus 5 is a very nice piano chamber reverb. And then that send, you go back and forth in your mix. You set just like the right amount of reverb for the feel of the song. There's no master recipe. It's just like whatever sounds good to me, and maybe that won't sound good to you guys. I'm still improving. Bus 6, same thing, but different type of reverb. It's an orchestral string chamber type of reverb. It's designed for string instruments. This is all stock stuff, right? But using your reverbs, and then this isn't stock, but this is free. And this is Softtube's saturation knob. This is the violin one, so I kept it high, and you bring the saturation up. And again, in the mix, right? Like you don't want to drown anything else. You just want it to sound nice and rich. This is where it ended up. You look over on the right, the gain difference of that saturation, what's that bringing? It's bringing up the harmonics. It's not peaking anything. It's making your sound more full within the scope of the EQ that you set, is the best way I can describe it. And my gain difference is almost 5 decibels on that instrument. So saturation and reverbs, and third point that allowed me to have this piano and this violin sit so nicely together throughout the whole track is hit screen record on time. There we go. You'll notice that I have panned the pianos to the right, just slightly, and the violins to the left, just slightly. And what that does is it takes the violins, right, puts them over here, pianos over here, and then down the middle, you've got, your clap and your kick drum and your bass. That's where your vocals are going to come down. And it kind of puts, like when you listen on the headphones, it almost sounds like, if I close my eyes, it's like I can clearly picture the piano and the violin. Like I can clearly, they're separated. And that's another way to get because the signal's stronger on each side for each instrument, right? So the places where they overlap, not such a big deal because I panned them and opened them up, right? So panning, also important to change the sound. A lot of shorts that I do, when I made a quick beat yesterday and I just threw it on there, and that's kind of what sparked this. It's just my production to everything's down the middle, everything's just stock sounds, but that's because in my head, it's like I can picture the reverb, it's like I can start to put the song together. You know what, let's dive into bass, because I have a bit of time in this video, and I always say bass is easy, and I never really explain it. So let me explain it. What I have open here, we're back to just my production track. I have this track soloed. We'll listen to it later. Hopefully you got some headphones, because if not, you're not gonna hear anything. So I've highlighted, I've got the piano roll open, and you'll notice the highest note here is this E. And you'll notice in a lot of songs, there'll be like high bass note, like rings out, boom, 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 right before so that's all that is. That's outside of the scope. And when we talk about bass in this EQ here, oh yeah, I'm pointing at the camera, but you guys are looking at my screen, sorry. So here's the EQ for the bass. You'll notice I've cut it off at 800 hertz and it drops sharply. I don't want any more signal beyond 1000 hertz, and that's really just the harmonics of my bass. And like, we'll get into why that's important in probably another episode, but let's just cover the basics of bass. You will notice that I have a D, an E, an F sharp in the low end, and then towards the top of the octave, I have a C sharp, and that's actually the very high end of my bass line. And then there's that one high note that I just double on the way out to reset it. So let's play it and pay attention to the 40 hertz to 100 hertz area, and what you're looking for is the peak of each note, because the important part of bass is you want to stay within an octave and a frequency range that subs naturally pick up. You don't want to go below 40 hertz. Like you can, but after about 30 down to it's inaudible, and most people don't even have a sub that'll actually reproduce that feel. They just don't. Big systems and concert stacks and stages and high-end bars might have subwoofers like that, but the average person, just your headphones, there's nothing you can hear there. So and I've had to learn because like it sounds good on my studio monitors, but I'm in this tiny little boxed space. The bass gets amplified, and these monitors will produce an audible signal down to 25 hertz. It doesn't really rumble like a sub, but I can hear it, and it just echoes in here. And a lot of the time, I used to trend to lower bass lines that like nobody could hear my bass line, and that's important. So let's pay attention right here to where the peaks are, and I'll try and call them out. Okay, 45 hertz, deep. It's about 65, 70 hertz, all the way down to 35. Back up to 45. Back up to 70, 75. There's that low one. There's that high one. And see how that high one was still below 100 hertz? If you ever look at the back of subwoofers, like home living room ones, crossover frequency, right? They usually cut out at 150 to 200 hertz. So, and that's common. So you want all your big bass hits to be, like I strive for under 100 hertz. It depends on the octave and where you play it. You'll also notice this is like played up in high notes. Don't pay attention to the C3 and C4 and what octave I'm in, because that might be dependent on the sound that I loaded. That's a DJ Spins 808, but the sample that I have for it, it's higher, right? So that plays into it. So look at your EQ and see where your baseline notes are hitting, because you really want to be in that range. That is important. So I'll just play the 8-bar intro of this beat. The only other thing I added was a vocal loop, and it's kind of like inaudible what the guy's saying, because I had to like shorten the time a little bit. It was very close in tempo match, but sometimes you lose the clarity. But I think it was already meant to be that way. But just the way the melody of the vocal ad-lib went, like I don't know. For me, I wish I could sing, right? So it's tough, but I feel like if I was a singer and stuff like that, just kind of adds to the song, maybe helps with the creativity. I don't know, I felt like it really fit with the intro, so I threw it in with the intro and with the outro. But yeah, let's just play the 8-bar intro, and it'll go into like that first verse part, and let me know what you think. So, like always, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Today was like a little different, chopped up. I'm just trying to throw different ideas in, because you guys let me know what you want to see from me, and I just want to share the music as I make it, as well as share this journey. I'm basically documenting a journey here every week. And yeah, that's me. All right, thank you.